Welcome, welcome. If you guys are new to the show, I'm so excited because today you're going to get to meet an amazing guest. On today's show, we're going to be talking about the future of travel in a post-COVID-19 world. And we're going to talk about consumer trends and how the travel industry should prepare for what is coming right now. So let's get started. A big welcome to our guest today, Conrad Volliszewski, the CEO and co-founder of TripScout, is joining us. Just a quick intro on Conrad. His app was ranked the #1 travel app to plan your trip, and he's visited approximately 100 countries, and Forbes called him the modern day Marco Polo, which I just think is so fabulous. He's positioned at the intersection of consumer trends and travel tech, and Conrad is a regular speaker and thought leader about the future of travel. And by the way, guys, if you're listening to this on our podcast, I want to remind you, you can find us over on Roku on the Raven International Network and on YouTube. Or if you're watching us and you prefer podcasts, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and iHeart, all the places. But Conrad, welcome. There's never been a better time to talk about the future of travel than right now.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, a lot is changing, but it's a crazy time and an uncertain time, but also an incredible opportunity for people in the travel industry.
Absolutely. So my operations manager, how we kind of met virtually is my operations manager. We're always following travel blogs and all kinds of fun articles. And she sent me your recent blog article. Travel will come back, but it will look very different. And you were discussing your thoughts and your predictions in this post or in COVID right now, and then post-COVID, what it will look like. And I just loved it. One of the things you talked about was OTAs, online travel agencies, the big guys like Expedia, Priceline, all of those ones that are kind of the big box, like booking millions of trips every single year. Talk to me about how you think the OTAs were impacted through COVID.
Yeah, so first off, the one thing to recognize, and I think what a lot of people get wrong about these times is the desire to go travel and to go explore has not decreased at all. And if anything, it's even been heightened because you've been quarantined in your house for a long time. So if you actually look at a lot of the data, Airbnb did more bookings in the past month than they did the year before. Like, people are already, for good or bad, I'm not an epidemiologist, I don't want to comment on the virus, but for good or for bad, people are getting back to it and they're already traveling, but they're doing it very differently and they're doing it much more responsibly. They're not getting on a plane and going to Paris or London like they did before, but they are going on road trips, renting cabins. They are, going camping. Like, if you try to book a campsite in a nice national park or state park, it's probably too late. It's already booked up. So yeah, it's going to look very differently. And so from the perspective of the OTAs, like, the OTAs are getting hit significantly because a lot of that type of travel is shifting. Now, some of the OTAs have apartment rentals, but a lot of people are shifting to campsites and apartments through Airbnb. So that's hurting them. And I think the biggest thing is there was so much uncertainty and so much hassle and pain trying to cancel the trips that a lot more people are gonna book directly. So, I had personally, for, just to use myself as an anecdote, like, I booked through Chase, through Points, through, Expedia. And after that, like, do I think I'm gonna go book through the airline next time or the hotel, or am I gonna book through the OTA? And it's actually, there's some interesting trends because the hotels and the suppliers have really been frustrated with the OTAs. They kind of hate the OTAs because OTAs take 30% commissions on hotels. So they've long been looking for a way to sort of shift that power dynamic. And I think now is just that perhaps some of that opportunity. You already see Marriott, not giving you Bonvoy points if you book through an OTA. So yeah. I think people are going to, a lot of the hotels and a lot of the industry is going to use this pandemic as a way to accelerate probably what would have inevitably happened, but now they can do it through COVID. And I think the customer is going to be much more, hesitant to book through someone. They want to go through one person so they can get, a guaranteed refund or change when another pandemic hits.
I love that. And we saw, from our perspective, of course, travel, the question we always get, which I love from consumers, are travel agents even a thing? And I think it was so powerful what happened through this process is, yes, we were actually doing really, really well. Savvy clients have been they never stopped using us, right? But what happened that was so key during COVID was we had perfect strangers calling the agency going, oh my gosh, can you help me? Like, there's telling me I can't cancel, I can't change unless I'm traveling within 72 hours. And by the way, I had to wait 7 hours on the phone to get through. Like in that first month that everything was going on, they shut their phones off. And so other clients were taking to social media going, oh, well, I use a travel agent, so she or he took care of it for me, right? So I love the articles coming out from Forbes and USA Today and Travel Weekly that are basically like, why aren't you have a travel agent on speed dial now more than ever, right? In terms of that whole piece. So yeah, I think with the OTAs, I feel like they're at least the reputation from a customer service perspective is a little tarnished, right? Like, are you going to go through that pain and suffering again of having that potentially bad customer service? And then from, like what you were saying is the suppliers actually going, look, we don't want to give this much commission away. What's the happy medium? And it's the original model of the travel agent.
Well, it's really interesting. So I will say in full admission, as someone who is a millennial, very tech focused traveler, when I was on my, traveling, to 100 countries, as you mentioned, and working in the technology industry, and I got into the travel industry from not just a, creator and a blogger and a traveler, but actually running a business. My first instinct was, do travel agents still exist? And one of the things we did when we launched Trip Scout, which was pretty nuts, but was pretty pivotal for us, is we gave our personal cell phone number to the first 250,000 people who signed up.
Wow.
And we said, anytime you're going on a trip, text us, call us, email us, we're here to help, whether you're on a trip, coming back from a trip, about to go on a trip. And we just wanted to learn as much as we could about the psychology and the behavior of the modern traveler. And we just, we had so many questions, and it blew my mind. Lots of people use travel agents, and travel agents have been an industry that's actually been growing. And so that was the first premise, is that I think most people don't realize that, even pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then post-COVID, or during COVID, uncertainty and changing information is going to be one of the number one drivers of how people evaluate their trip. I mean, pre-COVID, the trends were, you get a flight alert from Scotch Cheap Flights, you just book it, you think later. Most people really enjoy the trip planning process, so they don't want someone else to do it for them. They like to look for deals. They like to read a bunch of blogs, what to do. So, you just didn't have to think about it. You just booked, and you could figure it out as you went. And there's a lot of trends I can unpack about how that shifted. But now, to your point, airlines were playing chicken with you. So you had to wait till they didn't want to cancel. They wanted you to cancel, because when you cancel, you're not entitled to a refund. So they're waiting to the last minute. And then, you call and the phones are down, or they're too busy, and or you wait for hours, and then you get disconnected. So I think there's going to be a lot more people who just say, you know what? I want someone to tell me if there's a change in the country's regulation.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who lives and breathes this stuff every day. 2, I want someone to I want to text someone, cancel my flight, and have them do it. 3, I want to I don't know, where can I go? Someone like me reads everything that comes out, but most people aren't like that.
Most people don't want a full-time job, a second job, right?
And so I think people are going to rely a lot more on travel agents, and I think and that's going to transfer to the suppliers as well. The model that Southwest had, where it was just look, you're going to change your flight, just go online, change it. We don't ask you questions, you get credit. Yeah. Everyone's going to do that, or they're not going to be relevant. Flexibility, optionality, and confidence in the midst of uncertainty is what everyone will be the default. And so I think travel agents have a real place in helping people figure that out. I think they also have a real place in helping people figure out what they can and cannot do, both to like make sure you're being a good citizen for the world, and not doing something or going somewhere you shouldn't go, but also to let you know where you can go and what you can do and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
I totally agree. The amount of changes right now is ridiculous. Like we just did a deep dive into Disney last week and we were doing some update videos, and every day like dates are pushing, this is changing, this attraction's not open, just a small one little supplier, right? And take that and times it by the hundreds and hundreds of suppliers that we're dealing with. It's insane right now, right? Like even it's someone who's done this 25 years, it's like, wow, there's a lot of moving parts. And every day, like you said, it's the flight alerts, this and that, and everything is very fluid right now. So making sure that you're on top of that is, it's like a whole second job.
I was I will say too, that like, obviously like the human element of what's going on is the most important. But like what we can control in our own little bubbles and our own businesses is the fact that this is going to sound very counterintuitive, but right now is the best opportunity the travel industry has ever had, maybe since the .com boom. The way, ever since the .com, you had essentially a couple powerhouses who own everything. Most people don't realize that pretty much everything funnels either into the Booking.com Priceline holdings or Expedia. They own everything. They spend Priceline / Booking and Expedia both spend $4 billion a year on marketing. Like, it was hard to break through the noise. Everyone loved travel. Everyone talked about travel. Now all of those companies are, in crisis. Their marketing budgets are cut. Employees are furloughed or decreased. Like, and 10 years, and I think this is happening across all technology, or just business in general. 10 years of innovation is going to happen in the next 1 or 2. And you already see how, like, everyone, even though most of the world used Amazon, now everyone has to go on Amazon or Instacart or DoorDash or Grubhub, or Zoom, so I think for the people who are willing to like be bold, get out there, share their voice, share valuable information that helps people, it's gonna be a really good time for that. I mean, we saw in our moment, like we launched this travel from home initiative, and I started creating a lot more Facebook video, like reflecting on the lessons I learned from the different 100 countries that I've been to, and the engagement and the audience we were able to grow and the time we were able to grow it was insane. Like, we would have never been able to do that when everyone's busy at work and busy traveling, but like people are kind of lonely and kind of bored. And so, it's good to remember that.
The cabin fever is setting in for sure. So no, and I love what you said, because there really is a huge opportunity now if people know how to reach that new market share, like the millennials and the online bookers. And that's, but those segments, those consumers don't just want to work with anybody, and they have a certain pattern in which they buy. So my question for you is, how do travel agents, travel advisors, travel agencies prepare or best serve those types of clients in this new world that we're going into, right? Because you can't just put on a hat and go, I'm a travel agent today, and I think I'm going to go and get all these clients. What do travel agents need to adjust or do differently to reach that market share?
A great question. I think the thing that has to come first is, how do you give? Like, how do you give valuable information? How do you share things that are valuable? I think too many people look at marketing as, how can I go get what I want?
Right.
And obviously you have things that you want, but if you come at it and said, who is my community? Because not if you just try to say travel, there are very different types of travelers. So I would, know the type of travel that that you love, that you focus on, and say, how can I add value to this world? Like, how can I create content? I care about this. I'm reading everything that comes out. So how can I just curate that and distill that and give valuable bite-sized information to give people what they need to know? And, you know, every time you give, like, you know, if it's genuine, people tend to listen more. And when then they have a question, they go to you. And I think, you know, people too often just try to like keep things close to the chest, but we live in a world where you just have to put yourself out there. And when you learn stuff, share it with other people. And, you know, to be even more tactical, like video is the most important thing. Like I resisted it for a while because I love photography and I love like thinking and processing, and I love being in a moment when I travel. And then afterwards, when I'm sitting on a train or a plane, I like to be like, what did I learn? And I write that down and I, you know, edit a photo. But, you know, it's just the way the world is going is like people wanna see faces, hear voices, and they want an unedited authenticity. And so yeah, I think just getting in that habit, not overthinking it, and just putting yourself out there is probably the best thing you can be doing right now if you're a travel agent.
I agree. I think authenticity is so key. We've been training that for years, you know, and being able to reach out to that consumer. And like my husband started using YouTube, I feel like before everybody. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're married to like this veteran, you know, travel entrepreneur, right? I just ask me. And he's all like, I need to see the scoop from the street, right? I want to hear it from, like you said, an unedited source. And video is such a unique opportunity to bond and connect with people through that medium in an authentic way, because you're sharing what you love and what you care about. I think that's really key. And I think another factor to really, you know, getting into that marketplace, and you even mentioned it in earlier in one of the questions that I asked. You said, you know, I was that person who I like to plan my own stuff and people like to do their own thing. The perfect marriage is not taking away the planning process from the client, right? It's a collaborative approach and understanding. Like, yes, in 1984, 1990, yes, you were doing everything. But in today's environment, what people want is they want that collaboration, but they don't want the stress. So I think if advisors and agents and agency owners can embrace that in how they communicate their message, that working with me is not that I'm taking something away from you. It's that, hey, we are taking something away, the stress, the chaos, the calling, all this crap you don't want to do. And now you just get to talk about what you want to do and we make it happen. I think that's, you know, just another vehicle in terms of reaching this. I know that's how our agency's doing it. We have an agency too, but it's been successful for us for years before COVID started. And now I think we're in that same place.
100%. You know, one of the number one insights that we got from giving our phone number to 250,000 people was that the average traveler spends 30 hours planning each trip.
Oh yeah.
And most of, you know, and we meet with all the OTAs, all the airlines, like we know everyone in the industry. Everyone we talked to saw that as a pain point. And they always approached it with, how do we make 30 hours, 30 minutes, 30 seconds? How do we use like technology and automation just to do things for them? But what we realized from having these conversations is 95% of those 30 hours were highly enjoyable. They were an extension of the trip. It's like, there's actually some psychological studies that have proved that the planning and anticipation of a trip actually creates more joy than the trip itself sometimes. You know, like you live in a fantasy when you're planning. When you're actually on a trip, like things go wrong, you get sick, like all that stuff. And so we took the counterintuitive approach, and like, you know, when we raised our first round of venture capital, like we went out there and said, everyone's trying to make 30 hours to 30 seconds. We're going to make 30 hours, 60 hours by making it way more entertaining, engaging, bingeable. And by like then solving some of the hard problems. Now we're doing it with technology. You guys are doing it through service, but take away some of the hard stuff.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I would even like if you Google, and this is a lot of what our app does. So like travel agents can like use this to help support their customers. They don't have to even tell them. Like, absolutely. If you Google things to do in X city, you're gonna get the like most boring, cliche, like most authoritative websites, but like who cares what like USA Today said was the 10 best things? Like
Yeah.
find that local blogger, find that local chef. Where does that barista go for coffee? Where does that chef go to eat after work? Like find those really interesting articles and like, you know, send them to people. Like I would, if I were a travel agent and I knew someone had a certain type of trip in mind or certain destinations or certain lengths or certain times a year or even a specific place, I'd be sending them every day, like
Absolutely.
just text them or WhatsApp them or email them like 3 really interesting articles. Now, if you email them, you know, a TripAdvisor top 10, like you're just going to be as irrelevant as
they should have
TripAdvisor is
Googled
going
that
to be.
themselves.
Right. But if you're like, hey, this up and coming chef just got a Michelin star, and they actually have a little blog on the side, and this is what they've been writing about like their favorite like breakfast spots or whatever. Like that kind of stuff is cool. And then you could just say like, hey, if you ever see anyone, if you see anything that you want in there, just respond, and I'll add it to, you know, I'll go call and make a reservation or whatever it is. But like that's there's,
It's
you know,
that
it's a personal touch, you know.
Absolutely. And it's curating that something special. We do a lot of training on how do you break into those luxury markets and what we call comma commissions, like those trips. Like, and here's the thing, how with travel works. A lot of people don't know this is you're either the travel supplier is either going to keep that extra commission or it goes to a travel agent. It doesn't cost the consumer more to use us, right? But when you're curating something special and trying to break into those luxury markets, being able to get those out of the way experiences. I've had people that have built entire brands and entire agencies out on crafting hyper curated experiences, exactly what you're talking about. And it's that stuff they can't Google. They don't want that cookie cutter. And travelers, especially, you know, there are people out there like you and I that also have jobs. They love to travel, right? But they want something special for that 1 or 2 weeks that they're going to take off during the year. And having that local experience is becoming a huge trend. And it's because it's like real travel, right? It's not like what's in the brochure. The cookie cutter
travel, I like to say travel has become the new white picket fence. The way, you know, maybe like my parents or grandparents' generation would show off like how they're doing in the world, or like, you know, just try to impress their friends and neighbors, is you buy a bigger house, you buy a nicer car, you get that, you know, new washer and dryer or whatever, you know, whatever people did back in the day. And now it's cooler if you don't have to have a car. You know, it's more sustainable. Like, and the way people still have, and I'm not saying this is a good thing. Like, it comes from like it's just the reality of it. It's like the way people like kind of have that is now their Instagram feed. You know, it's like look where I had dinner, look what I did, and you're never people want to be perceived as interesting, and no one's interesting sitting on a bus tour. You know, you're, and I think the interesting thing is that now it's going to be easier than ever to curate those unique experiences, because all those people that were just like in hot demand and booked every night are now going to be like, please, like, help send me people, you know? And so like, I think you can, you know, pick up the phone and create those unique, you know, easily create experiences that might not exist. And also encourage, like, here's the thing about those unique experiences, like, I think travel agents also have to encourage their travelers, like, especially now as we're like, you know, as people start to travel again, you know, whenever that is, like, you know, in terms of like on a meaningful scale, besides like road trips to a park, is there's going to be that tendency to like cram a lot in that they didn't do. And I would encourage people to say, you know, like, slow down, like, read a book about the place, like read like a fictional novel, or read a biography from some great person in history there. Like, just go walk around, like, make room for serendipity. And you know, it might sound ironic, but I block off people's schedule to say, like, for these 3 hours, just walk until something interesting happens. Like, those are the best experiences. Like, I've never heard of a life-changing or memorable travel story that started with things going as planned.
Right, exactly. That's so true. It's like immersing yourself, and it's the experience, embracing the experience. And I like that, allowing for the flexibility. We always, you know, there's a lot of clients who be like, I'm going to Europe one time. I need to get every single landmark in. And it's like, but you know what? That hanging out at the bistro in Paris, like just take a beat for a minute. And I think as Americans too, right? We're all like checking boxes and a lot of, you know, that type A type personality when we approach things. But vacation is that time to like reconnect with yourself if you do it right, right? So
yeah, I mean, what is a more authentic experience in Paris? It's like sitting in a park for 4 hours, drinking a bottle of wine with some cheese and a baguette you picked up at the market? Or is it like standing in 17 different lines just to take a picture of, you know, the Mona Lisa with a million other tourists? Like, you know, Rolf Potts, the author of Vagabonding, he was on a live event that we had, and yeah, he was commenting about how, you know, the average visitor to Paris sees more museums in 1 week than the average Parisian probably sees in a lifetime. And and I couldn't agree more. And so it's like, I think, and I don't want to knock those things. Like some of those things are in museums because of a reason. Like someone changed the course of history with a painting, or like that stuff is cool, and I would go see it. But I would just put as much focus on all the in-between stuff, not doing everything, not cramming it in. Because like it's cool to see, but like you don't get a life-changing experience. You don't get a memorable travel story that you're going to tell your friends and family afterwards by doing that. And if you are going to go to a museum, I would say like don't go there the most efficient way. Just like say, okay, I'm going to get there today. I'm just going to wander around until I find it. And all this, and realize that like that, you know, that walk to the museum is going to be way more important than like anything hanging on the walls of the museum.
On my first trip to Germany, I went on a FAM trip, which in the industry stands for familiarization, which is basically I went on a free trip to learn about Germany, and I won it in a raffle on behalf of the CEO was supposed to go. And anyway, I went in her place, but it ended up being the craziest thing because they gave me a certificate when I got to the hotel, and they're like, oh, you can go to the spa for free, but you have to get your own transportation. So, you know, being like 20 at the time, I was like, I didn't have a lot of extra money. I'm like, I'm just going to take the bus system. So I ended up like taking this bus system, spending the day at this crazy like spa, and it was so funny because I had like this bright colored bathing suit on. I walked in and I realized that everybody was like nude. I was like, what is happening right now? I was like, oh my God. Right. So it was the most hilarious story. The ride home, there was a cute little like old lady with a dog in a basket, and she talked to me the whole time. And I was like, she like was having full conversations with me, and I didn't understand a word what she was saying. Still to this day, one of my most hilarious travel stories. And it just was because I hopped on a bus and it wasn't on the plan.
Yeah. Right? And if they would have said, welcome to the hotel, here's our hotel luxury spa, it would have been really nice and relaxing. You probably wouldn't even remember that you had it, you know?
Exactly. But here we are 25 years later. It's crazy. Yeah. I want to talk about one last thing that you hinted at earlier, and I think is really key because we train this on a regular basis. When we talk about travel agents and the travel industry preparing to meet these needs of the new client, yes, the authenticity, yes, the hyper curated, yes, getting your message out in that very human way. The other thing is we need to, the industry, travel agents, for those of you who've been doing this for 10, 20 years, you have to make it cool. You have to make it easy. And that is, I think, where you're an expert in technology. A lot of agencies have had exponential growth because they have embraced technology for the clients that they serve. And some agents don't even know like this stuff exists. So I love, you know, the whole idea of Trip Scout and what you're doing. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, cause you know, as a millennial, like you don't want to sit down in an office for 4 hours and talk about your trip, right? It's a different way that you have to make it cool for them. Does that make sense? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you're spot on. Like here's the thing you have to realize in this world is that you're either a technology business, technology enabled, technology supported business, or you're just a quickly going to become a relevant business. There is no like, and I've been saying this for a while, but there is no technology sector.
Yeah.
You know, everything has technology, everything uses technology. Otherwise, it's just not going to exist. And I mean, obviously with some specific service examples, but that's the number one way to lose credibility is like, if a traveler comes in there and their friends were talking about something and then you haven't heard about it, like, how are you going to know then about the coolest restaurant that opens up, you know? And I think so many conversations I've had with travel agents or concierges, they're like stuck in 10 years behind, you know, and they know what was cool 10 years ago. And actually, I would say this, like 10 years ago, travel was easy. 10 years ago, everyone, they were going to New York City. They're going to stay at like a Marriott or a Hilton near Times Square. They're going to go wave at the Statue of Liberty, go on a tour.
See a Broadway show.
Yeah, see a Broadway show. Ask their concierge for a slice of pizza. Where's the best place to get a slice of pizza? They'll go around the corner and they'll get it. Everyone's trip looked the same.
Yeah.
Now look at them especially if it's like a millennial or younger, or like, but actually I don't think this is an age thing, because I think I see people that are 60 years old doing this. People are going to Queens and eating like 7 different types of cuisines. They're going to the Bronx. They're going to go look at street art and get coffee in Bushwick in Brooklyn. Like 10 years ago, no one ever heard of Bushwick. No one would dare go there. But like now it's the coolest, trendiest place because people see something nice on their Instagram and they see a bunch of hipsters and they want to check it out. So I think you have to immerse yourself in everything, like new technology that's coming out. You have to immerse yourself with new products, new new trends. And I understand for some people who've been doing this a while, that might seem intimidating, but it's not hard. Like, read an article and you're going to see an article, 5 best new travel apps. Just download them all and just play with them. Apps intentionally makes things so that it's easy to get onboarded. And so like, you have to be up to speed on that kind of stuff, or you're just going to lose credibility. Now, if your customer is, a super wealthy retired person, maybe they don't care about that as much, but like, but they're starting to, you know what I mean? Like their kids showed them something cool, and they're
even my 69-year-old father is like using apps now. Like sometimes you can't remember how to open them up, but
and
so
totally. So you just like, and think about it, like that's fun. Like if you love travel, you should be a student of how travel changes, both in destination as well as like in the interwebs of the world. Now you should also be really like aware of all the other things, like over tourism, sustainability. Like there's a lot of things that people thankfully care about now. And so it's not always about, like here's an interesting tidbit. Hopper did a test with Lufthansa where they said, they gave you a flight and they said, look, for this flight is $20 more, but it has a more direct route. So you will actually save this much in emissions. Yeah. Would you do it? And actually the majority of people would do that. Now, granted, you're still getting on a flight, so it's like you're like staying for the environment, but like people will make different choices that might not be in their just own self-interest. And I think being aware of that and giving people those kinds of options and, being aware of like what they care about, what's new, like it's so important. And ultimately that's like, and here's the thing, is like how someone finds something when they're traveling is just as important as what they find. Yeah. And so like being aware of that, being part of that conversation, as you mentioned earlier, like supporting them in that kind of research and planning and serendipity, or all that kind of stuff is really important. So I think you're spot on.
I love it. Yeah, you've given us such great things to think about, and we work with clients all the time on leveraging things like technology and realizing it used to be like the thing that would set you apart. Now it's the thing that's going to keep you in business. Like you better get on board. I feel like I know when we coach our clients, we talk a lot about, longevity of your business and people that have had these great travel businesses for years and years. There is some adaptation that's going to be required going into this new world, but all things that are doable, all things that are going to serve your client at a higher level, all things that are going to just help raise your game, I think, as a travel professional. So,
and there's another thing, the one more thing I would add is like there's like this mindset to that's an outdated mindset, is kind of like to keep everything like in. Like, well, if I enable them, will they ever even need me anymore? And that's the thing that like you got to get away from, because and one of the things we realize with content is like no one wants a single source of truth in travel. No. Like they want to read every single blog, read all these different books, like they figure out what they want. It's like you need to be the facilitator of that. You need to share a blog that they wouldn't have heard about, share an app they might not have heard about. You know, if they're going to a place like China, you have to like tell them about WeChat, because like you can't get by with it. Like you have to support that, you know, let them create Google Docs and you be shared with them, or let them create, you know, a trip on TripScout, and that way you can see what they're reading and like what they're saving. You just need to realize like you are not the gatekeeper. You are not the treasure chest.
Yeah, it's not about keeping secrets.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you're the curator and the facilitator and the friend,
so
you know. And I think if you just think of yourself as, what would I do if I wasn't in this business and this was just my best friend or my family member going on a trip, what kind of things would I do for them? And if you do that, like your business is gonna boom.
Yeah, totally. The answer. In fact, that's the name of our show, is Bliss to Abundance, because I say my purpose and mission in life is to inspire people to follow their bliss into abundance. If you're leaning into what you love and sharing it in a big way with the world, it's going to come back like hundreds and hundreds fold, right? That's so true in dealing with clients. I love that thought path. And there is that old mindset of, well, if I do this, well, you know, there's a scarcity mindset. It's not a wealth consciousness mindset. So totally. I love that. I'm adopting that. I might steal that for some coaching. So I love it. Guys, I want to tell you about Conrad's links and where you can connect with him. So on Facebook, his Facebook page, you can go to facebook.com /Go Conrad, or Instagram @GoConrad, and it's Conrad with a K. So let me say that. And then you can go to tripscout.co is the
.com. Website. Or just type in TripScout in the App Store.
It'll come up.
Yeah.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. Love it. And by the way, travel agents, if you want to be best positioned in the industry in this existing COVID and post-COVID world, don't forget to go to careersonvacation.com and find out how we can help you. Wherever you guys in the world, I wish you so much love, so much abundance. I wish you the world. Conrad, if you want to hang out just for a second, I'll chat with you post-show. And guys, I'll see you next week. Go follow Conrad over on his stuff. His Instagram feed is so cool. I mean, 100 countries. You have to go check it out. So I love you guys. I'll see you next week, okay?
Bye.
Good morning, guys. Today we have the most amazing topic for y'all, and I'm so excited to share it. You guys have been asking for this for a while and sending me lots of questions on YouTube and Instagram. So we're going to talk about the 5 ways you can make additional income in your travel business right now. So on today's show, we're going to cover 5 additional ways to make extra money, how to create redundancy in your cash flow, and what adjustments you need to make to course correct because of COVID-19. So without further ado, let's get started. By the way, if this is your first time tuning into the show, this is Bliss to Abundance. My name is Cindy Williams, and there's just a few things you need to know about me. You probably already figured this out, but I am a huge traveler, a lover of travel. I run a company called Careers on Vacation, which helps people grow, scale, and build their amazing travel businesses. And I have been in the industry for over 25 years. So a minute, you guys can do the math on that. But I love sharing my love of travel and helping you guys grow your businesses. And I always share a fun coffee mug, and I love cute earrings. I pick up earrings everywhere I travel, and I pick up coffee mugs. So check this guy out. You know where that's from, right? We're celebrating Disney reopening this week. So super excited. That's our little Adventureland Jungle Cruise Tiki Aloha mug. So now we're fast friends if you're new to the show. So thank you for joining us. And we're going to dive right into this fun topic. And it is a good one, right? The 5 ways to make additional income right now in your travel business. And we're wrapping up, if you're watching this live stream later, when I'm filming this, we're wrapping up 4th of July weekend. And I just have to talk about, because this is so on point for what we're about to discuss. Did you guys watch Hamilton on Disney Plus this weekend to celebrate the 4th of July? Pop me a little comment if you did. And look, maybe I've been under a rock with following Lin-Manuel Miranda's career. I didn't know, like, he wrote my favorite songs out of Moana. And first of all, I was blown away with Hamilton. So this guy is like uber talented, right? And I just love, especially like I was a double major in college with business and theater. But when you have kids, you don't always make it out to the performances, right? But I never saw Hamilton before this weekend. And I was like, what am I watching? This is amazing. Like, this guy combined hip hop, the story of one of our more obscure founding fathers until this came out, and I don't feel like he's obscure anymore, and filled the show with diversity. How beautiful, amazing, crazy. Where did he dream this up, right? And I just had to think, like, there is someone who created a new lane. There is someone who didn't see a door, so he made one, right? It's so amazing. I know I'm late to the game because people have been talking about Hamilton for years, but it was that good. If you guys haven't seen it, if you have Disney Plus, go check it out. I mean, obvious work of passion. And look, this guy created his own lane, took this idea, this completely something new, something unique, and it resonated so much with people. And Disney paid him $75 million for the rights to Hamilton. So good for him for having vision and belief in himself and moving forward and making that door where there wasn't one. So, and that just leads me to, like, so many of you guys have passion for travel, but because business has been so good for so long, a lot of you guys didn't diversify your revenue streams, and now it's causing stress and anxiety in your business. And that's a real thing a lot of you guys are feeling right now. I know because you've told me or you've sent me messages. And if your sole income has been from travel commissions, and we weren't traveling, a lot of people weren't traveling, obviously, like, places were shut down, they couldn't travel the last several months, your business likely took a large hit to that. Things are, of course, recouping now and things are opening up, which is great, slowly but surely. But the point being is, income and cash flow is so important to manage in your business, and there's never been a bigger lesson, I think, to learn than out of this, which is why I wanted to put these things together for you. And look, talking about things like income and cash flow, it can be kind of taboo, but I just feel like it's really timely to discuss. And I've been hesitant to share because even though, yes, I own my own travel agency, I'm an owner-operator of an award-winning, amazing travel agency, of course the travel agency has taken a little bit of a hit, but overall, my standing hasn't taken as huge of a hit because I have multiple revenue streams always running through my life as an entrepreneur, right? And so even though stuff has been shut down, it's almost been not a lot different for our company. So, and I've been hesitant to share it because I know a lot of you are not in that position, and that's why I created this live stream today, to help you think about where could you layer in some other revenue streams and how can you make some extra income right now, like today. So we're going to share all of that with you. I hope it's a help for you. By the way, if you're following us over on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe if you want to follow this content. We put great stuff all the time. And if you're listening to us on our podcast, or I want to just remind you that if you want to see the cool coffee mug and the cool earrings and some of the things I'm going to be showing today, check us out over on Facebook, where we do our live streams, or of course over on YouTube. So let's talk about this list of ideas that you can implement in your business And we're gonna go all 5, right? So the first one, and this is something I've been training like for years. I know everybody is jumping on this bandwagon now, but this is something that we've been sharing with our clients like behind the scenes in our secret mastermind group for a long time. So luckily a lot of our grads are already in this boat and already have this redundancy in place, but it's vlogging or having a video strategy. So there's 2 ways you can really leverage vlogging. First of all, if you love travel, like it's kind of a no-brainer. Like if you love pictures and video, you're doing that stuff anyway to share with your clients or share on social media, but why aren't you turning it into some sort of a vlog? And there's 2 things where you can use vlogging to earn income. One is if you build up a community, you can actually earn ad money through YouTube's AdSense program, where you can actually earn views if you have commercials on your videos. And again, it's best if you have a following, but that's one way. Another way is you're directing people to your travel business, which is where you're making those commissionable sales, right? So you can use that 2 different ways to drive income. So that's number 1, but it's 2 different ways. And I want to encourage you guys, like so many people are stressed out with video or how to start or how to vlog. I really just want to encourage you to get started. I started with just like my phone and me. That's it, right? And my computer. I didn't know anything about editing and I didn't know where to start in this whole world. And like, I'm not like a teeny bopper on Instagram, right? Like, I'm a mom with kids and with like huge businesses to run and busy, but I just loved travel so much that it was a natural outlet. And the more that I got started, the more that I learned over the years, every video got better and better and better. And now we're in great standing, right? So if you just get started and share your passion, what are you passionate about when it's talking about travel? And you might be asking, well, Cindy, I can't travel to the places I want to go right now. Like if you're an international agency, some of those places we can't get to yet, that's okay. I mean, I could sit here and tell you about my gondola ride in Venice and engage you in a conversation right here from my office in Austin, Texas, right? So don't let that hold you back. The other thing you can do is maybe go locally and check out some of your nicer hotels. A lot of them are reopening. I know here in Austin, Fairmont's opening next week, and some other of the major hotels. So there's cool places you can go just to engage and immerse yourself in travel. So start with what you have. You don't have to worry about fancy camera equipment. Like that can grow over time. Just start with your phone, guys, and get started. And remember, authenticity is key. These are some of the little tidbits. Of course, we train more deeper strategies in our mastermind, but at a minimum, you know, that is one way where you can start to add a revenue stream. All right, let's talk about number 2, freelance work. Maybe you guys have tried this, maybe you haven't, but we live in the coolest time today where you can source almost anything. And there's really cool sites like Upwork and Etsy and Fiverr, depending on what your skill set is and what you love to do. You can offer your services on those sites and people will pay you for them. So are you a good writer? Are you a good blogger? Are you crafty or good at digital design? There's some things that you can sell on Etsy just digitally, right? You don't have inventory, you don't have product, you don't have to go to Michael's and actually create crafts. I'm talking about like digital products you can sell on Etsy. So if you're good at digital design or writing, you could go somewhere like Fiverr, Upwork, and offer your services there. Are you great at editing? Maybe you're already an editor, but you're, you know, a lover of travel. Maybe you don't have a travel agency and you're still watching this video. Either way, if you're good at editing, you can offer to edit videos for people. Someone like me that's doing so much content, right? We have a person who actually edits videos for us because we have so much content coming out. That is something that's in demand right now. So if you're good at it, then that's a service that you could offer on one of these outsourcing sites. Photography is another one. Like, do you have great photography? Could you license some of your photos or sell packages of your photos or offer to do photography for people? Even presets in Lightroom, you can do now and sell those in different places. So guys, think about that freelance work that you could use. That's something you can do this week to get started on and bring extra income in. So that's a really good one. Just think about what your passions are and then figure out where you can source through those sites. Number 3, another great way to add some income is think about starting an Amazon store. So in full disclosure, like transparency, it's better if you have a following, right? If you have a community built. But if you have an Amazon store, you can get links basically where you're going to share that out to people, and if they buy, they're going to buy it anyway. If they buy it from your Amazon store, you get a small percentage as a commission. So it's kind of like if you're gonna like I just shared the things that I love and I'm using anyway. And those are things that you can share out, like what equipment do you use, or what candles do you like, or what lighting setup do you have, or you know, all it could be anything. It could be a toaster, right? So anything that you love, you can kind of add in there, and that can be a monthly extra check for you. You can earn a small percentage of the sales if they're buying through your link. So I know people who just do Amazon, like in my world, and they have nothing to do with travel, and they make an entire career off of just selling Amazon products. So that's another one that is a potential fit, depending on if you know you have that core community built up. Another one is sponsorships or affiliate relationships. So, and I'm not talking about MLM stuff. You guys know how I feel about that. I got other videos, you can go check those out. I'm not talking about MLMs, but what I'm talking about is like major companies. If you have a following online and you have some influence, that can work really well with influencing with companies to say, hey, I use these candles, or I use this sports bra, or I use XYZ. If you have a following, companies will actually pay you. Some of them will put you on payroll to share their stuff online, or you can get free products, which is cool. If you're doing videos or you've built up your YouTube channel, they will pay you to share things. Like full disclosure, like I never share anything unless I actually use it and actually love it. Otherwise it's not a fit for me to talk about it. But there are different, you know, there's different ones out there in terms of how big your community is and the things that you can kind of negotiate. A good conference, by the way, to go to for that kind of stuff is VidCon, because you can actually list yourself in terms of what types of relationships you're looking to partner with. And VidCon got canceled for this year, but that's a good network to plug into if that's something you're interested in terms of trying to get on with some sponsorships. And basically the other format is they have tracked links, and every time someone buys something, then you get paid a percentage of the sales for that too. Kind of like Amazon, but it's like directly through their company. So that's another way that you can add some extra income as well. And number 5 is, this is probably a really important one to think about, especially right now for all of you travel businesses, right? Adjusting the mix of what you sell to even out your cash flow. This is another thing I've been training for years, that I tell people, they come to me brand new, I'm like, listen, think about this from the beginning. What's your redundancy going to be? If you sell Alaskan cruises, like that market happens in the summer, how are you going to bring in income for the rest of the year? So be diligent about what do you need to adjust right now to get your cash flow even all the way through the year, okay? So what are your seasonal sales? What complements your mix? Are you facing shutdowns for the segments of what you sell potentially? Do you have a lot of international travel? What could you maybe do domestically or closer to home in the short term to make sure you're evening out cash flow in the next 12 months? These are things you guys have to think about right now, because you have to make the decisions and then you have to market for it, right? So, and remember with anything, I mean, 9/11, COVID-19, whenever you go through like one of these weird things where there is a interruption in travel, right? Things are going to open domestically first, and then it's going to grow from there. And then it's going to be Mexico, Caribbean, and then it's going to be international. So it's going to go in that order as these months unfold. We know Disney opened this week, so for all of our Disney agencies, we're excited, but we know we can't book for 2020 right now. So what are you gonna sell, right? So you have to be making these decisions now and adjusting your marketing plans to compensate. Oh, actually, apparently maybe I had 6 things. I'm reading my script here and I'm like, oh, I put a bonus one in here. And this is probably the most important, right? How do you up-level your marketing? If this is something you weren't doing pre-COVID, you really need to think about it right now, because the agencies that are winning, that are booking right now, that are having the most success, is because they never stopped marketing and they had a strong marketing in place, and they're making adjustments based on what's going on in the world, right? All the time I have people ask me like, Cindy, how do I do what you do? We get questions on Instagram, on YouTube, like, oh my gosh, I just saw your new pool. Like, that's amazing. I see you guys following, because if you follow me on Instagram, I see the stats on that, and I know you're loving the pool. And I haven't done the reveal. We're gonna do like a full walkthrough, so that's coming in a future video. But I'm glad that you guys like it. And yes, my travel business is paid for that pool, paid for my house, right? My husband and I both work from home full time, and it's amazing. But the thing about it is people are like, how do you do that? How do I get more leads? How do I, get my marketing in a place where I can have, clients and redundancy? The fact of the matter is really simple. I treat my business like a business, like a real business. It's never been, it's never, for at least several years now, it has not been in a hobby state, right? When I first started, I was in hobby state, and we had another great business we were running, and I kept it in hobby state for a while until I was like, why am I not treating my travel business with the same respect that it deserves that this other business does? And we ended up selling that other business because I just didn't have a passion for it anymore, and then blew up our travel businesses, right? So I have real marketing, I have real systems in place, I have real automation. So the real question becomes, are you willing to push yourself to get out of hobby mode? Are you ready to up-level your game in travel? Are you willing to put real marketing and systems in place? And I think most importantly, like, are you willing to take the time to learn new things to get what you want? Right? I am always learning. Every year we're investing extra money, extra dollars, extra funds in learning, in testing, because that's the way that we know we can be the most successful. And a lot of the things I talked about today, not all of them, but the things like sponsorships and affiliate things, those only come after you do one major thing, which is build a community, right? So you have to know how to build a community, and then once you do, you can get more leads, and leads equal sales. That's what drives your cash flow in any business. It's really, that's the short of it. That's the shortest, math problem you can put on it. The shortest formula is, if you get more leads, you'll make more sales and you'll make more money. And people undervalue marketing, or they get frustrated with it, or they get stuck. I get that. It's complicated. I've been working at this for 25 years, right? So, and look, there's businesses that have amazing referral business and they've built it, but the thing is, it does take time. If you're not putting any real marketing behind your business and you're building it just off referral, that's why it takes so long. And I watch on the feeds and I see a lot of well-meaning people, and that is how they built their business, and they have a great, robust business today, which is amazing. I don't want to take away from that. But I'm super impatient. Like, if I don't want the lifestyle 10 years from now, I want the lifestyle next week if I can have it. The way that you connect those dots is you need to learn how to run an online business faster. And the biggest part of running an online business successfully is marketing. Any business, really. The travel, that's not unique to the travel industry, right? So everything on this list that we've talked about, guys, things like vlogging, adjusting your marketing mix, sponsorships, affiliate, everything except for the outsourcing of work, all of these things work 100 times better if you know how to do the next two things. One, how do you build a community? Right? You build a community through marketing. Like, to do it fast, right? If you do it organically, that's what can be the 5 to 10 years. So if you know how to build a community successfully, and number two, if you know how to drive traffic to the things that you want them to take action on. So you want them to click a link, you want them to book an appointment, you want them to buy something, whatever the case is, how do you get to that community and drive that traffic to the right place? So all of those strategies work, exponentially better when you have that large community, right? So that's why it's so key, and that's why marketing is such an instrumental part as you're growing your business. So in my case, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money towards marketing, testing to figure out what works for our industry. So we are continually testing in our own travel agency, and we work with, every year we put together a marketing budget, marketing plan, and we test all of these crazy things that are out there, all these crazy strategies to figure out what really works for our industry and what converts and gets you the fastest result. And I get it. It can be like going down a rabbit hole, super overwhelming. You have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, TikTok, chat bots, Pinterest, email marketing, sales funnels. Like, where do you start? What works the best? Like, get me to the finish line faster. The thing about it is you never know what's going to be the next big one that's out there. So you do have to test this stuff. And when you use some of these techniques and they're engaged with specific strategies, they work amazing. Like, they're life changing. They can transform your business and your life. But the flip side of that is some of them are total duds. Like, I can tell you because I've wasted a lot of my own money, so you didn't have to. Some of them are total duds. We know because we're testing them. We hire leading experts in all of these platforms, and we go through a calibration period to try to figure out what that formula is to making the most profits. Is it reliable? Is it consistent? Does it convert? So if it's a dud, we don't train it to our clients, right? But if there's one that does amazing and it's converting, then we put it in our mastermind, right? So because people ask me all the time, you know, how do you get all these raving reviews? Why can't I find anything bad on the internet about you or your company? And I'm gonna tell you why. It's really simple. We actually test the things that we train in a real travel agency before we train them to our clients. Oh my gosh, what a concept. We test it to make sure it works first, right? There are so many marketers out there, guys, that a million social media people that will take your money and say, look, we're gonna have to test, we're gonna have to calibrate, and that is the normal process, right? But they wanna use your marketing dollars to test Facebook, to test Instagram, to test whatever the thing is that you want to test out that you think is going to be the best for your business. They'll tell you, I have a monthly fee, plus the minimum ad budget is $1,000 or $2,000 that you need to test for the next 3 months while we calibrate to see what's working. So you have to easily throw 10 grand at testing any platform. I mean, that's just the reality. If you're working with a decent social media person or a decent person who really knows what's working and who's willing to learn your industry. And that's where, like, of course they want to spend your money, not theirs, to test. That's actually how the industry works. Even with our own experts, guys, that's what we sign up for. We find the best of the best and we say, look, we know it's going to be a testing period, and we throw money at it and we test it. I pulled up my P&L before this live stream, and when I edit this for YouTube later, I'm going to put a snapshot in to see how much I spent on advertising last year. $67,000. $67,000 on just ads and testing. That does not include what I paid my experts. So you can pretty much double that figure in terms of what we are spending to figure out what works every year. And then we turn around and give it to our clients so they don't have to spend that kind of money. What average startup travel agency, or even if you've been in the business 10 years and you're looking to up level, most people can't pull $50,000 or $60,000 out of their pocket to test everything out there to see what's gonna work. No, like, get to the finish line faster, right? So this is why we're hearing things out of our program like, thank goodness I know these systems. I'm still booking. I booked $30,000 in cruises. I'm reading this off of some of our comments inside our client group, guys. I booked 2 huge groups last week, the largest groups our company has ever sold. We sold 5 vacations. I sold 5 vacations before graduating, have 3 more calls this week. I retooled my marketing and the offers are converting, adjusted my marketing, and things have bounced back. Guys, marketing is so key. Whether you take my program or, you know, sign up for Careers on Vacation or not, I want you to be successful. That's why I do these free live streams. So full transparency though, you have to lean in if you want to uplevel your travel business, if you want to live the lifestyle, if you're committed to doing this full time, you have to approach it like a real business. So I have actually 2 free things that you can do today. One, I do want you to think about getting on the Careers on Vacation waitlist. If I resonate with you and you want to work with me and my amazing team so we can show you in the next 12 weeks how to implement all these systems and processes in your travel business, you can go to careersonvacation.com/ready now and meet with my team so we can learn about your goals and see if it's a match to work together. And if it is, we can talk about when we have availability, which is a little tight right now because everybody's home and training. But that's number one, and that's free. Those discovery calls are free whether you work with us or not. And number two, I just updated, I completely revamped our free masterclass. So go to careersonvacation.com/masterclass and you can get a free hour-long session where I talk about how to monetize your travel agency, how the adjustments through COVID are happening, how the world is responding and working with travel agents, and a bunch of new things that are in there. So even if you've taken the masterclass in the past, retake the new one. It's completely updated for this year. So definitely check that out. Whatever you do, if you take away one thing, I want you to remember that more leads equals more profit. So figure out how to get more leads in your business and use some of those other tips that we gave you to layer in redundancy for your travel business. That will help you not be in such a pinch if there's ever an interruption in travel or a delay. And it will take some of the anxiousness away, because none of us work at our best when we're feeling anxious or we're feeling out of sorts. And I know a lot of you are in that place now. So think about getting other revenue streams layered into your business, and that will really help protect you no matter what's going on in the world, so you can have that redundancy in your cash flow. So I love you guys so much. So guys, that's the live stream for today. I hope you found this content valuable, and I wish you so much love, so much abundance. I wish you the world. We will see you next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Bye guys.